Hello and happy Saturday to you. Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with this week's 5 in 5 stocks to watch for next week for day trading and investing. What an incredible week it was. Some fantastic earnings out of the tech space. Um, some weakness out of biotech. Nice little pop in oil. So, biotech, I have to tell you, pulled back to an area of potential support right to a long term trend line. Could bounce off there. Could be a sector to keep an eye on for some snapback trades next week. Oil looking really strong. A lot of good looking oil company stocks out there. And we've got another full boatload of earnings with a lot of good looking setups in those earnings. So I've got a full list for the pro members of stocks to keep an eye on for next week for potential trading opportunities. Um, 5 and 5 stocks to watch. Just a quick, brief overview of what it is I do each and every day for the members over at Alpha Wolf Trading. I just got done doing about 7 hours worth of evaluating, looking at stock charts and checking out some fundamentals and doing all kinds of stuff for the pro members so they have a good list of stocks to focus on for potential trading opportunities. If you like what I do here, come check us out and consider joining us as a pro member over at alphawolftrading.com. All right, let's get right to it into the stocks. 5 in 5. Let's do this. This is not one of the stocks from 5 and 5. That's actually a stock that I closed out this week. It was a swing trade that I did send a trade plan out to the pro members and actually returned about 22%. Closed it out because of the fact that it got a little bit extended, and there's actually no news on this run. It just broke out over $3. I love those round number rolls, and it was approaching $4. Like I said, got out of the upper Bollinger Band, so took some profits and locked it in. But that is not one of the stocks on the list. So let's take a look at some of the stocks that are. EGAN, low float stock, 17 million shares in the float, traded 210,000 shares on Friday. Stochastics curling up. Doesn't appear as though they have earnings in the near term. I like round number rolls. This is flirting with the 3 roll. Look, if you can get this thing at 280, 285, 290, nice little pullback, and maybe a little red to green move, take out that trend line, I think potentially you get a test up into $3.50 range. That's where you take some profit, see if maybe you can break out through there, get a forward test. But I like this. I like the space on this one. Artificial intelligence and virtual assistant, all this stuff. I like the stock. I like the look of the setup. If you get a break over that trend line with some conviction, could be a nice day trading, even a short term, higher risk swing because of the low volume in the stock, or low float, I should say. But worth keeping an eye on. EGAN. ARRY. So this one had a nice little bounce off of the 100 EMA on Fridays, flirting with $11 holla, flirting with the 50-day moving average. So if we do get that bounce in the IBB, this one may be one to consider keeping an eye on. Now look, a pullback to 1050 could be the ideal entry spot on ARRY. Pull back to 1050, hold the support and bounce. Stochastics have curled up. Look for some volume. This is a little bit thicker of a stock, 146 million shares in the float, but you do have almost 20% short interest in the name. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on that one, especially if we get some kind of a nice bounce in the IBB. MTW, so this is one I actually shared with the pro members last week as a potential swing trade. Now they have earnings coming up, I believe the 6th, which is Monday of the following week. Look, this is you saw good numbers out of United Rentals, right? You saw good numbers out of Caterpillar. This is farm and construction equipment. I think they do a lot of cranes. This could be a very interesting one to keep an eye on. Now, this could run into their earnings next week. right? And then after earnings, maybe it pulls back. But what I'm looking for is a pullback to say as close to 9 as possible for an entry. See if that holds. Put your stop just below 880 or so, 875. And you're looking for a red to green. You want to take out this trend line, and maybe we get a test back up into that $10 area. Now, this may not do anything. It could just consolidate heading into earnings. But if you get a pullback into the $9 area, see if that holds a support for a potential bounce. So maybe a short-term swing on that one, maybe a day trade if you get some real good volume. Worth keeping an eye on it. Either way. And then, look, if it doesn't do anything this week, maybe, after Monday's report, maybe that's when it's in play. But definitely worth having at least on the radar. FDC, now this reports earnings on Monday. This is one of the stocks that I am keeping a close eye on. You're looking at a potential flat top breakout. Now, what I like about this particular setup is the fact that it already did have a run up into that resistance and it pulled back, right? You're kind of flagging out here. So this really sets up nicely for earnings on Monday. If they wind up, crushing it, you're looking at, now this is a thicker stock. This is a much thicker stock, 311,000 shares in the float, 10% short interest. So, what I'm looking at is for this flat top breakout. If we can take out that $19.20 with some real conviction, what do you look for? We look for maybe a pullback to this area. What was resistance, we'll look and see if that can then hold as support right down to about 19 bucks. See if that holds as support for a potentially a long-term hold position or a swing position, longer term swing, right? Because of the thicker float. But I like this setup quite a bit. We've worked off the overbought condition, pulled back, got a potential catalyst on Monday. Let's see how that catalyst plays out. If maybe, you could get a head fake. Maybe it pulls back to 1820, or you try to get it as close to 18 as possible, and then you get a bounce off there to go back up and test 19. Something to that effect. But I think it's worth at least having on the radar because I love flat top breakouts. All right, and then the penny play for next week, BIOL. Actually pulled this off one of my FinViz scans. Look, I'm not sure when these guys report. You're going to have to check that out. Actually, I'll look real quick right now. BIOL, November 7th. So that'll be the Tuesday of the following week. It's been holding the 50 EMA. It's been holding the 20 simple moving average. There's been some insider buying in this name. Oh, no, wait. Hold on a second. They are reporting. Good thing I saw this here. They're reporting Wednesday, November 1st. So, could get a little action heading into that earnings report. Or afterwards, right? Could get some action after that. Now, I'm just looking at the way that it's been kind of flagging out a little bit here. I mean, this is an ugly chart. It's been in a dominant downtrend, I think, for a very long time. Right? But it's kind of got an interesting look on the daily time frame. I think it's worth paying attention to. If they report good earnings or give good guidance. Now, keep in mind, this thing only traded 12,000 shares on Friday. So, but it has had days where it's traded over 1 million shares. Only 35 million shares in the float. I think it's absolutely worth at least having on your radar for a potential day trade. If it takes out 75 cents, 79 cents with conviction, I think most likely you get a $1 holla. Right? Maybe even go back up and test the 200 days somewhere around 125. But I think $1 holla would be my target on that one, and that's not a bad little clip from where it currently sits. All right, so that's it. That is the 5 and 5, and actually it looks like it's 5 and 10. Have a fantastic weekend. Good luck trading next week. It's going to be an interesting week, I think. But definitely, bulls appear to still be fully in control. So make sure you always have a plan for each and every trade. Know your risk reward. And that's it. I'll see y'all next week.